area of especially the higher education. So we are expectant to hear from you, hear your experiences, provoke our thinking, provoke our ideas. And so I have a very brief bio of Dr. Carol Hunja. Please allow me to read as we welcome her to give her keynote speech. Dr. Carol Hunja is the current Secretary Higher Education in the State Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Education in Kenya. She coordinates forging of bilateral relations with other countries to promote internationalization of higher education institutions and strategic research activities. Dr. Hunja carries out routine monitoring and evaluation of the established partnerships to ensure their implementation. She is involved in the development and implementation of policies which is pertinent for well-established legal frameworks in the execution of the core mandates of the Ministry of Education. She is focused on encouraging the development of grant proposals for resource mobilization to promote the research agenda countrywide. Prior to joining the Ministry of Education, Dr. Hunja was a senior lecturer at the Southeastern Kenya University, it's called SEKU, and also served as the Director Research, Innovation and Commercialization. She has wealth of experience and knowledge in research as demonstrated by the number of grants she has managed. Postgraduate students under her supervision, published papers in peer-reviewed journals, and she has also written a book chapter on research management and administration in Kenya. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Carol Hunja to give her keynote speech. Dr. Carol, a round of applause again. Thank you very much and welcome.
The Vice Chancellor, Professor Gudu, represented here by the Deputy Vice Chancellors, distinguished scholars, researchers, policymakers, development partners, students, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am indeed truly, truly happy to be standing here with you today. And I do attend several of these research conferences in our universities. And the first question I usually ask is, how many guests are attending this conference from other institutions? And so that question was answered even before I asked. I can see that there is good representation from across the country, meaning that you had very good networking. And you also announced this conference early enough to enable other delegates to be able to attend, and that is how it should be. Some of the best networks in this country are usually forged in such events, and so I'm truly, truly happy to see this kind of initiative. Secondly, before I read my remarks, they are quite lengthy, but I'll find a way to summarize. I want also to commend a university that is so far-flung, but you still manage to have your name known in this country. I came from a far-flung university, Southeastern Kenya University. Who has been there? You know what I'm saying, eh? It is far. Although people ask far from where? But it is quite deep somewhere located in 10,000 acres of land. So you can imagine, to get 10,000 acres of land, you need to be a bit off town. And yet, here I stand as a secretary in the State Department for Higher Education. So it means that any university, wherever it may be located, it has the opportunity to shine in the country, And I am, of course, an example of that. And I used to host research, multidisciplinary conferences, research and innovation weeks, and I managed to forge a lot of networks in those conferences. And I'd also like to thank Dr. Mbuchi for inviting me. We have known each other for very many years. Many years ago, when we were still very young, we taught in the same high school in Kitui. And so that is how our friendship began. And we have watched each other grow academically, professionally. And so when he invited me to come to Rongo University, a place I've never been to, I did everything possible to make sure that I come. I was even telling him I cancelled very many meetings. Very many people are not happy with me, but I had to come and grace this occasion. I had to, because I really wanted to come and see Rongo University, and I wanted to show you that as a State Department, we truly support you. We're very proud of the work that you're doing here, and I was even informed that you've managed to reach out even to our very close neighbors, the Tanzanians, and they are coming to our university. And remember, we said we're looking at internationalization of our universities. So I can see when I ask that during the monitoring and evaluation, you will tell me that you have international students. So far in Kenya, University of Nairobi is leading in terms of international students. Chuka is also doing very well. And now I would now like to see Rongo pushing also and saying we have sufficient students outside of this country from abroad. Tanzania is abroad,
Is abroad, by the way, it is not Kenya.
so that,
you can also be counted as being a part of this internationalization agenda. So the theme
of this
of this conference is transformative research and innovation for an inclusive and sustainable future.
Again,
Again, you know that
we are at a
we
very
are at a very pivotal point,
not
not just globally, but also in Kenya.
You know that
we
are
are
currently
currently bracing ourselves
for the new
for the new dispensation of the competency-based education and training.
And you are
And you are
aware
aware that through that,
we want to
we want to make sure that we make our universities
so
so
well
well
established
established such that they can nurture
talent
talent that possesses competencies to navigate this world. Not so you can just be employed, but also so you can create employment. You can be able to survive in this world, not just having theoretical knowledge. Competencies. Recently, we conducted a monitoring and evaluation exercise in this university. I don't know how many of you interacted with the team from the State Department. And one of the questions we were asking is, what progress have you made as a university as far as the
implementation of CBET is concerned? Many universities, as would typically know, will indicate that they are waiting for the Commission of University Education to establish a framework so they can move. But I'd like to inform you that there are universities that have already in their curricula started putting in a few courses here and there in their programs so that they can nurture competency in those programs. And so you do not have to wait for Commission for University Education to establish a framework. You can start thinking way ahead of 2029 before we now host the first cohort. And even now, remember, we are still hosting a cohort that is going out to the world, and it still requires competencies. Even though we've not received the one that is now in senior school. But even the graduates who are there, they need to now, the students who are still in our universities, they need to start developing these competencies. And one of the best and easiest competency that you can nurture is already available as a core mandate of your university, and that is research. Once you nurture research in your young people, you've already nurtured a competency that nobody can get away out of that graduate. One of the reasons why research is so essential is because it ensures that we find a way to deal with the challenges that face us day by day. We all come from environments where there are challenges that people are facing. Those challenges can only be dealt with and navigated through research, through innovation, through the development of various products that can make a difference in our corners of the world. Indeed, there are a lot of enablers to this research, such as the rapidly growing technologies. We know that currently we are in the age of AI. We are in the age of digital economies. Our role is to make sure that we are part of that rapid, dynamic world by leveraging on these technologies and ensuring that we grow with them and ensure that we use them to train our young people. Now, three key fundamental issues arise even as we think about research that is transformative and inclusive to ensure that we have a sustainable future. Let's focus on the transformative power of research and innovation. When you think about how far research has come, it's fascinating. So fascinating, the kind of technologies that have been developed. At one time, even the wheel that we use on the car had never been innovated, had never been developed. And today, we change the wheels of our cars, even not thinking about what an amazing creation it is, because it enables us to move from one end to another. When I think of research, I remember the words of a famous physicist. His name is Richard Feynman. Richard Feynman was a great, great physicist and even won a Nobel Prize for his great works. And one of the things that Richard Feynman pushes for is the art of finding things out, the art of discovery. He talks about a time when he was young and he would go out to play with a toy truck with his father. And when he played with the toy truck, his fascination was how come this truck is able to move from one end to another when I push it? What are these forces that are causing this truck to be able to be mobile? And so when we talk about the transformative power of research and innovation, research is able to transform not only through the development of innovations, but also transform each and every one of us so that we can be great thinkers, we can be great sources of knowledge, so that we can participate in the global arena when issues of research are being discussed. You know that we boast over and over again about the M-Pesa. M-Pesa is talked about globally. That is indeed a very simple innovation that started right here in Kenya to solve a simple problem. Before, how would we get money from one end of the country to another? Who can remember? Post office. Can you imagine? We used to go to the post office. I remember one time, my mother used to send me, and I did my first degree at Baraton University. And I remember my mom would send me money occasionally. Mostly it would be for fare, really. Once ukienda huko, unakaa huko, then anakutumia fare. And you'd have to go to the post office. Sometimes you go there, they tell you, yes, the money is here, but we don't have the cash. Come tomorrow. Yeah? Yeah? So can you imagine? Today, at the click of a button, you are able to access money through an innovation, transformation. That's the kind of transformation we're talking about. Again, you can see that even as I give this kind of examples, that transformation must be contextual, must be within our context. You cannot start developing, for example, I'm sorry, I always say this, I don't understand why people want to go to the moon. To do what? They want to go to Mars. Have we conquered the earth? Have we traveled all over the earth and solved all the earth's problems so we start going to the moon? I find that research very relevant. But I beg to be forgiven for that. I feel we have sufficient challenges in each of our contexts, within each of our regions, and we have sufficient reason to use our brains, to use our knowledge, to develop solutions within our contexts and make a difference and leave a legacy. And that is a call to all researchers, to all universities, to all students that you're nurturing in this university. Now, we must constantly ensure that we remain relevant as universities, as institutions, so that we can become amazing centers for innovation, entrepreneurship, problem solving, and influence policy, which is a great important. One of the greatest issues that we have as researchers is that we want to publish or perish. I don't know who told us that. That is the biggest fallacy that exists in the world of research. So much so that even you cannot get a promotion until you have acquired specific number of publications. How sad. I wish we could equate those particular points we talk about in publication to innovations. You develop an innovation, you're automatically promoted. Then that would motivate us to an extent that we will continually be creative in our spaces for research. So when we meet here together and exchange our ideas, do you know that even your push to the Commission for University Education to alter the promotion criteria so that it fits and suits the direction we want to go as universities and as a country? Many times, even in my university, we really tried to change that promotion criteria. And every time we tried to change it, the problem was that all of us have got our own agenda. If I'm in engineering, I want to be promoted when I possess a master's degree. I want to reach the level of a professor with a master's degree in the School of Engineering, in the School of Medicine. Then someone in the School of Education and in the School of Pure and Applied Sciences says, but that is unfair. I have a PhD. How can I be equated with someone who has a master's and is now being called a professor? And yet I have a PhD, and I cannot reach that level. And the infighting would go on and on. We have the capacity to exchange ideas, to come up with a working promotion criteria in this room that focuses on research and innovation and the development of products that are tangible and that can make a difference in this country. And with such a criteria, the Commission will in no way defy it, because you will have a common goal, you will have a common direction, and you will have a common trajectory. And that is what we are looking for. How then, when we talk about building an inclusive and sustainable future, comes in the issue of inclusivity. one of the biggest issues that researchers face in terms of inclusivity is so basic and it hurts. And that's the issue of when you both have different areas of specialization. People in humanities are constantly crying that they never get research grants. People in pure and applied sciences are constantly getting opportunities. My question has always been, when people in the pure and applied sciences and the basic sciences get these grants and apply for grants, when they carry out research, for whom are they developing these researches for? For goats in the market? They are creating them for humanity. How then can you develop or can you have a proposal where you have not included someone in the humanities? You know that people in the sciences only think about research, innovation. Mambo ya watu, When you bring in someone from the humanities, then they bring that aspect, that humanity aspect, the social science aspect. I give a story always of a community in which a team of researchers went there and decided to dig a well for them. And they dug the well, and every day they knew they had solved a problem for the community, because now people will not have to go very far to the river to fetch water. They came back 1 year later and they found their well there unused. So they wondered, but we solved the problem for you. When we built and dug this well, we knew that we were solving the problem for you. You'll no longer have to go to look for water to the river. And the women told them, look, when we go to the river, that is the only opportunity we have to go gossip. Gossip about our husbands, gossip about our homes, gossip about our children. How can you take that away from us? Social aspect. You solve a problem, yes, but you are ignoring a very important aspect, the human touch. You must think about who you are creating those solutions for. And so I constantly encourage researchers to collaborate, to work together. Ensure there is a mathematician in your proposal writing for the development of important models, predictive models on what you're working on for sustainability. You must have a social scientist so that they can bring that humanity aspect, and then you can have your amazing innovation that is really crazy and probably is capable of solving a major problem, simply because you've come together. You are inclusive, and through that inclusivity, you are able to solve great problems and have a sustainable future. So we must be careful when we are developing our innovations. Important questions to ask. Who benefits from these technologies? Who is being excluded? Are you excluding gender? Are you excluding people with disabilities? Are you considering languages and cultures and realities? How do these innovations benefit people who are marginalized, resource-poor settings, etc.? And so you know that inequality, divisiveness remains a major issue, even in our culture. In our African context, we have serious challenges. Even when we come to this corner of the world, the other thing we need to think about is how much access do we have to AI, to the technologies? How much access do we have to ensure that we are capable of using the technologies that are available to move forward? And even so, we can still use the locally available materials and technologies to make a difference. One of the biggest issues I hear people complaining about in the implementation of CBE in basic education is that they want us to teach, and teach the way they teach in Nairobi. They want us to teach the same way in Migori. And I asked them, who said that? In Migori, you have a context that is very, very unique. And the children in Migori can be exposed to that context and can be taught within their environment and can be taught on how they can make a difference in their environment. Very different from what happens in Nairobi. That is the beauty of a competency-based education. That is why we are constantly singing with the principal secretary, kindly, what are your niches as a university? What do you consider your niche? Because your niche is the one that is going to identify you uniquely. When I go to Rongo University, I know they are doing something that is very unique for that context and is able to make a difference where you are located. I recently went to Masinde Muliro University, and they have a very interesting course, really interesting, called, I think, mortuary in science, or science in mortuary, something of the sort. I'm telling you, very interesting. And let me tell you, that has become their biggest source of income. When I was there, I found students from as far as Voi, a KMTC, located in that institution. They had come to visit for a week to learn on the ground about this mortuary science, because Masinde Muliro has a human anatomy laboratory, and these people, they all the way from Voi, they came, and it is a diploma course, by the way. And they came to learn, and they were even telling me they want to grow it and make it into a degree course, because it has really attracted students from all over the country. Niche. These are the kind of stories we want to hear. And so even when it comes to their establishment of innovative ways, as they teach this program, as they find a way to market it, as they find a way to reach out to as many people as possible, they have already carved out a unique niche in this particular area. So we, in a very general way, should look for ways of being inclusive and invest in inclusive education technologies, innovations that focus on the community, local language technologies. I have struggled to find a university that is focusing on indigenous knowledge, indigenous languages. That is a niche in and of itself. Accessible healthcare systems, sustainable agricultural innovations, empowering youth and women, ensuring that even as we make use of AI, we are ethical about it. Smart and sustainable urban development, climate resilience, such that innovation and inclusivity is not charity, it is justice when you're inclusive. Then, when we look at the SDGs, when we look at sustainability, so many other ways, I'll not repeat that part. I just want to focus on the SDGs and the African Union agenda and other national development priorities. So we must ensure that this sustainability within the context of the SDGs, AU 2063, current policies and agenda that are in existence in the country, they must be sustainable, such that our young people have opportunities. We have institutions that are accountable. We have technologies that serve humanity. I still repeat, humanity is what you're doing research for. The moment you solve humanity's problem of research, even the plants and the animals that have been given unto us for our care will also benefit. If you go back to the Bible, when God gave Adam authority, he told him to tend the gardens and take care of the land, take care of the animals. As long as Adam is not comfortable, as long as Adam is not happy, there is no way he can take care of what God has given to him. He can't be a good steward until his problems have been solved. And that is the whole point. We must ensure that we have education that promotes equity, governance that encourages participation, and development that preserves human dignity. As universities, we have a strategic role. We need to ensure that we develop partnerships. I have a tendency, DVC, you'll attest to that, and the VC too, to send out letters every time we have a visiting interested partner in our State Department. Every time we have a visiting partner, I usually take it upon myself to write a letter and inform all universities of the interest of these visiting partners. Rongo, do you participate? Do you reach out to these partners? I even make sure that I have an email address of the contact person. Very recently, we had a visit by someone from the University of Texas, and they're so willing to carry out staff exchange programs. And I wrote a letter. I have that letter somewhere in my records, sent out to all universities, because we are encouraging the establishment of partnerships. Establishment of partnerships, because it's strategic. All these partners are willing and interested in partnering with us in the writing of grant proposals, in student and staff exchange programs, in the development of ideas, so that we can have that movement of ideas and growth of our individual institutions. So it is important that we understand that our universities are not just centers for teaching and certification. In actual fact, when I stand in front of you, I usually say the core mandate of a university is research. Everything else falls under that. How can you teach that which you have not created in the form of knowledge? You can only teach new knowledge. You cannot sit day in, day out telling students the same thing that you told them. I remember one time, I'll not mention the lecturer, when I did my master's in biotechnology at Kenyatta University. It was not a bad thing, but this lecturer was telling us about the use of pawpaws, raw pawpaws, for meat tenderizing. I did my master's in 2003, and this lecturer was still talking about use of pawpaws. Your grandparents used pawpaws for meat tenderizing. And in a biotechnology class, you still teach me about papain and meat tenderization. And he would come with yellow notes, and it was very bad, because if he gave you those notes and you did not write those sentences the same way he had written those, including the full stop, you will never pass that course. How sad. So again, it's not just about teaching. You need to teach about new knowledge. Today, you need to be aware of which areas of research have won a Nobel Prize. You need to be aware of that as a lecturer today. During the COVID period, young people were very curious to know about the vaccines. We were tasked with the ability to read and find out as much as possible on this COVID so that we can solve and answer the questions that are available. Emerging infections, they keep coming up. Emerging issues keep cropping up. What are we doing as sources of knowledge? We are still teaching age-old notes instead of going ahead, utilizing the technologies we have available, and reading as widely as possible and researching so that we can generate new knowledge. Then we are able to teach. Then we are able to innovate. And then we are able to produce products that can make a difference in life. I commend Rongo University through this conference because it is advancing interdisciplinary scholarship and collaborative program engagement. Indeed, this conference is multidisciplinary and it has great potential in solving various challenges within the existing isolated academic disciplines. And so, again, I have reiterated this. Health challenges require collaboration with medicine, technology, sociology, economics, and policy. Climate change requires environmental scientists, engineers, urban planners, agricultural experts, economists, and political leaders. AI requires computer scientists, people who are in charge of ethics, linguists, legal scholars, and educators. So we must come together and think together so we can solve this problem. And again, I have indicated why it's important to collaborate and form partnerships. Rongo University, how many MOUs do you have with other existing universities just in Kenya, even before you go out of the country? And when you forge an MOU, how many of those MOUs are functional and are actually producing something? I am coming from a university background. We used to have a target every financial year, sign 10 MOUs. I would spend sleepless nights when I was director of linkages in the first quarter and the second quarter to ensure that I have signed 10 MOUs, then I sleep. I've achieved my target. And in the event, someone else toward the end of the year wants an MOU signed, I sign one more, and then I keep the 5 that I still have for the next financial year to fulfill the target. Then I sleep. How many of those MOUs are functional, are working, are producing results? MOUs and partnerships are important, and you know this, for knowledge sharing, for resource mobilization, for technological transfer, for innovation ecosystems, policy relevance, and international visibility, among others. And so we need to come together and develop partnerships that are working, that are functional, and that are producing amazing results. Our young researchers and students, that's where the manpower is. Those people are young, they are creative, they are eager, they have the energy. I appreciate that the moment we all get PhDs, by the time we get PhDs in Africa, sadly so, we are beyond 40. We are heading to 50. Na unataka huyu aende field akaokote samples. You are so tired. Even getting that PhD, you spent years working hard, trying to figure out where to get your school fees. You know, it's a very, very tough situation. The best thing we can do is take these young people as our mentees and nurture them and mentor them. And they do all the running around. They collect the data. We provide the knowledge. We provide the direction. And together, we nurture these young people to conduct research. They have the energy, they have the capacity. They have critical thinking, creativity, ethical leadership, digital competence. The kind of things these young people can do, we cannot. Can you imagine today if someone told you to start learning a programming language afresh? I cannot. I am currently in charge of Chinese language education in Kenya on behalf of my principal secretary. I can assure you, I will never learn Chinese. I can't. I can see you akili anymore. Maybe if I was younger, you get my point. But these young people, they will go, they will learn Chinese, and on our behalf, as their supervisors, they will conduct research with the Chinese, and we will all work together and benefit. Because these young people, they have the capacity, they are young, they have the energy. I remember when I was their age, I could do anything. But we need to accept our ages and start offering direction and mentorship and nurture these young people for research, because they are capable of all this. So let us ensure that we encourage the young people to innovate, to run with their ideas. Let us not fear innovation. Let us not fear AI. I keep making people laugh when I tell them, we are in the age of AI. These young people can finish a PhD thesis in 1 month, because the databases that are available online, the publication databases are all available online. And what AI does, you type a topic, and it does your literature review in a matter of seconds. It is sad, I know. I did my literature review for a year plus. Ole wangu, pole kwangu. It is not my fault that I was born when there was no AI. Tuache wivu. Our young people, they are living in an age where they can do things with the snap of a finger. They are living in an age where they can finish their PhDs in their 20s. Let us accept it. And let us nurture them and let them grow. Because let us not start saying, oh, plagiarism. When you go to a library and you sit and you read 10,000 books so you can write 1 paragraph, vis-a-vis a young person who writes a topic and throws it on the internet and is given even the citations that you could not even imagine exist, na anakusubmitia. You want to say that is plagiarism? Is that plagiarism? Mwanafunzi anajua anataka nini. All that information is available online. When you spend hours on end looking for one publication, AI collates that information in a matter of seconds and even gives you citations. Ole wetu, tulizaliwa wakati ya kuwa na hii maneno. Let us accept and allow these young people to run and finish their PhDs when they are young, so that they can make a difference in our lives. Tuache wivu, wazee, me be included. Tuache wivu. Kama wanasoma haraka, sisi hatukusoma haraka, let's appreciate at least we have PhDs. God is good. Yeah. They are getting them way faster than we are. And they have the capacity to drive innovation in this country. Let us just think of ways to make it ethical. We should start thinking of making it ethical, but not stopping them from using the tools they have to generate knowledge. It is faster. I tell people I did my master's without ever stepping in KU library. I did my master's in KU. I had all the databases online. I just used to type, I get a publication, I read the PDF version, then I write my thesis. Never stepped in the library. Never went in search of a book. Imagine how they are now. That was in 2005, 2006, when I was doing my master's. Where are we now? Write a sentence, boom. Data analysis, boom. AI does everything for you. We are very happy for you, young people. Very happy for you. We know you are doing it way faster than we did. God is good. So, let us also appreciate that the true purpose of education is not merely to secure employment, but to create knowledge, solve problems, and improve humanity. We still stand on the importance of ethics in ensuring when we carry out our research and innovation, we uphold ethics. Rongo, today, have you been identified as an ethical institution? Do you have a committee? Good. It means you're moving somewhere. So that is very important because we cannot carry out research, we cannot leverage on these technologies when we don't understand the importance of ethics. Ethics and lack of ethics can deepen inequality, spread misinformation, undermine privacy, and threaten social cohesion. So we must be very, very careful when we establish and carry out these kinds of research. Biotechnology, issues of GMOs. We have talked about GMOs from here to kingdom come, talked about gene editing from here to kingdom come. We have a lot of misgivings on this kind of research, and that is why the importance of ethics is very important, because as researchers, we must uphold integrity, transparency, accountability, human dignity, and ethical responsibility. Research must serve people, but must never ever replace the values we have as humanity. Our values matter a lot. We must ensure that our emerging technologies strengthen democracy, strengthen social justice, accessibility, and human well-being. So, I'm coming to the end. What is the way forward? What is the call to action? We cannot keep observing. We cannot keep teaching with yellowed notes. We are at a pivotal point in history. Today, we are teaching young people who cannot just sit and listen to you on in a lecture for 3 hours. Gone are the days. You are boring these young people. I told you they have the capacity to access that information that you're trying to impart to them. They have the capacity to get it anytime, anywhere, even as you're teaching. Some of them will even identify where you got that information from. Na unaona wakigongana, ona hii sentence by sentence ndio anasomesha. Tuko nayo. They already have it. They have it from the internet because that's where you get the information from anyway. They have it all. We need to be creative. We need to be innovative in how we nurture these young people. As participants in this conference, we carry a collective responsibility to ensure that the researches that we're going to discuss here, the researches that we're going to showcase here, are not going to be locked up in a shell. And Dr. Ambuchi will say, this financial year, I have fulfilled my target. I have held a research conference and tulale. Tungoja next year tena DVC aanze tena shida. Dr. Ambuchi, when are we having our 7th multidisciplinary conference? Ile ya last year ilisaulika. Let us make sure that we don't leave our researches on shelves. We have great, amazing ideas lying around somewhere. Let us find ways to partner with the Kenya National Innovation Agency so we can nurture these innovations and grow these innovations for our well-being. I therefore call upon our universities to strengthen interdisciplinary and community-driven research that speaks to societal needs. We need to ensure that our universities identify very unique niches, become centers of innovation, growth of those niches, entrepreneurship, ethical leadership, and sustainable development. I urge, myself included, officers in the government and policymakers to ensure that we only carry out evidence-based decision-making. That's why we are constantly carrying out M&E in your institutions. This year we conducted the second one, and that is a culture we want to cultivate, because we want to ensure that when we approach funders, we approach them with evidence, kwa karatasi. Then they can see what it is that we need. We look as government agencies to invest more in research, digital infrastructure, vocational education, and technological inclusion. Sustainable transformation cannot occur without a deliberate investment in knowledge economies and human capital development. To my fellow researchers and scholars, let us embrace collaborative partnerships that cut across disciplines. I never want to hear someone from the social sciences and the humanities saying they never get grants. That should be a story of the past. As long as you have people with grants here, you must collaborate with each other. We must ensure that our collaborations cut across disciplines, institutions, and national borders, because the future belongs to those who can work together, who can solve complex global and local challenges. To students and young innovators, I encourage you to continue using the technologies as much as possible to become creators of solutions rather than consumers of ideas. Your creativity, resilience, and technological competence remain essential in the shaping not just of our local future, but also regional and global. Use your knowledge responsibly to build inclusive, ethical, and sustainable societies. We call upon our industrial partners too. Remember, under the competency CBET dispensation, we must partner with industries. And if I were you, I'd even start looking for industries to partner with to strengthen the already existing programs that you're offering in this university. A big disconnect exists between the programs we are offering, the graduate we produce, and the industry where they are supposed to end up. But if we collaborate and partner, you'll be surprised that these industrial key players can even help us develop programs that are going to be to ensure that we have market-ready graduates. Let us reach out to them. Let us not be shy. And that will really, really strengthen the kind of programs we are offering in our universities. Above all, let us ensure that no one is left behind in the pursuit of progress. Inclusivity, sustainability, and human dignity must remain at the center of every innovation, every policy, every research agenda. So, as we begin and as we continue to engage in this conference, let it mark the beginning of stronger partnerships, transformative ideas, actionable solutions that will shape a more inclusive and sustainable future for Kenya, Africa, and the world. Remember, the future is not something we wait for, it is something we create together. And as I conclude, I would like to continue working with you. We, together with the Principal Secretary, Dr. Beatrice Inyangala, operate an open door policy Anytime you come to our offices at Jogo, we will welcome you, we will listen to you, and we will be ready to exchange as many ideas as possible. And of course, keep inviting us to your institution, because we want to continue working together, and that is why even we keep sending people to this corner of the world to see how you're doing. We can never forget you. We know how important you are, and even as we continue to work together, we look forward to hearing that Rongo is producing one of the best innovators in this country. We look forward to hearing that Rongo has created a space, even as it is so far-flung. It is now being spoken in the lips of people. People want to bring their students to Rongo because they know when students come here, they will be great, they will do amazing things, and they will indeed create a better future for this corner of the world. With that, I want to thank you, and I think I can declare the conference open. Yes, ongoing and open. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good morning, delegates. Continuing with the protocol that was set yesterday and this morning, I want to thank Dr. Carol Hunja for the exciting presentation. I didn't even blink throughout the discourse because it was very exciting. And I wrote so many points that I wanted to highlight, but I think I'll pick on 3 key points that you should think about and that she should also think about as she goes. She mentioned very, very important points, but I'll start with the point of inclusivity. Inclusivity is very important in research and development. And one reason that makes it impossible, at one point you hear that you want promotion, and in the criteria, you have to publish or perish or innovate. You are an assistant lecturer, very well endowed with skills. Seeing that it's come to a point where you'll develop a system that is worth billions of shillings. But because you want promotion in the university, where one of the criteria is publishing, if you publish alone, you get 2 points, full. If you publish 2 people, you share the 2 points, full, shared. If you publish 20 people, because you must include the statistician, you must include the social science interface. And that is what I underlined, the social science interface. So that even in developing the proposals, you have a social scientist working with an engineer and a medical scientist for acceptability of the product that is going to come out. So that you don't produce a product which is not going to be accepted in the community. But the social scientist knows how to convince the community to adopt this technology. But you not want to include the social scientists so that you earn those 2 full points and get promoted. If this technology is not going to be used, I think we need to think about this. And think about it fast. Some of us are soon retiring, but for those who want promotion, even the donors emphasize that you have to have a multidisciplinary approach to research. Have a linguist. I have this technology, I want to take it to Tanzania. Tanzanians will not accept our deep English, but you'll present it in Kiswahili. You'll go to Rwanda, you present it en français. Parlez-vous français? No? Then what? I leave that. Then the unique setups. She discussed about unique setups. I don't need to emphasize on that for CBE. Then in partnerships. Partnerships also mirrors on the first point that I said. We have functional MOUs and partner with industries. Then teach new knowledge. Forget about what you taught 20, 30 years ago. Teach new knowledge. She gave a very good reference. And it reminded me, how many of us know that Israel cultures beef in the laboratory? And if you taste it, you cannot tell that it's cultured in the laboratory. You just go to the machine and click, and your beef comes out. Or fish fillet. New technology. She has talked of gene editing for solving medical problems. These are things that we need to teach and embrace. She has talked of AI. That reminds me, when I was a younger man, in 1985, when I joined the International Center of Insect Physiology and Ecology, we would ask for reprints if you're doing literature review. There was a card which you write the author's name and the address, and you put it in the post office requesting for the reprint for this topic that you have published. It takes 1 week to go to the US. Takes another week for it to come back and you receive it in the post office. But now, you click on the databases on your phone or your laptop, and you get all the reprints that you want. And it's organized for you the way you want it, in all the subtopics you want. Please, let us embrace technology. I know there's debate even on the Rongo University Dons Forum last week, up to this week. We have been debating about AI. Is it acceptable in the thesis? But you have to look at the ethics around it. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a very exciting presentation. Any questions, observations? We have a microphone going around. Or you can use.
Kwanza namshukuru sana daktari kwa wasilisho zuri. Nitauliza swali moja na nitaliuliza kwa Kiswahili. Kuna mambo mengi ambayo umezungumzia, mwenzangu ametaja, sitaki kurudia hayo. CBE, mahali ambapo tumefika, mwaka wa 2029 wanafunzi wanakuja kwetu, sisi tuwafundishe. Senior school, katika Kiswahili, tuna Kiswahili na fasihi. Na ni pendekezo lililotolewa na wataalamu wa Kiswahili. Lakini sasa hali ya mambo ilivyo ni kwamba wanafunzi wengi hawachangamkii fasihi. Wanataka kusoma Kiswahili. Na tunataka kurudi kinyume. Mtaturuhusu turudi kinyume ili tufundishe Kiswahili kama kilivyokuwa kinafundishwa katika mfumo wa 8-4 badala ya kutenganisha na fasihi. Pengine maoni yako. Asante.
Any other questions, so that she takes up the questions at once and responds to all of them? Do we have any other?
I want to appreciate Daktari, but I have two questions. what is the role of a conference and inviting you all the way from up there as a policy implementers? And from your yellow notes that you've said, have you also realized that there are yellow policies like the one we are talking about? And I believe that is why there's a lot of debate, because the young people are driving ahead of us. So we want to moderate their speed at which they are moving. I was asked, one of my students was asked, tell us yes or no, did you use AI? You know, me, I was looking at my students, and my students were looking at me, which face of the coin. If he says yes, then the document is nullified. If he lies, then the technicians or the technologies of this are seeing part of it. Why would the dons and the universities in Kenya want to moderate these young people? And with your policy that of promotion to the university dons, how would we get out of this yellow policy? That is what I want to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ari, for the good presentation. Connected to what professors talked about, I have two issues. The first one in competencies. CBE emphasizes competency. Recent studies and certain, I would call them reports, indicate that our young learners, even with the competencies, and some of them we experience in classes, have challenges with competencies. For example, language competencies, some of them cannot write. And a lot of this is attributed to technology, that is AI and the ilks of that caliber. What is the government doing about this? Specifically your department, when it comes to emphasizing competencies amidst the challenges that we experience with the learners. Because evidently it appears like we are promoting competencies which we are not able to instill, and the challenges are with us. Secondly, the issues of ethics, as we all know it, it's a conundrum. And it becomes a challenge to even the learners themselves. It becomes a challenge to even policymakers. What is the government doing insofar as the use of new technology? Because we see other developed countries are already even banning the use of some of these technologies. They are advanced. They were there before us, and they now ban the use of these technologies. What are we doing as Kenya? Thank you.
Did I see your hand there?
Thank you. Mine is related to policy. Recently, I think I'm now privileged to speak to Higher Education Ministry through you. We had harmonized criteria for promoting academic staff. So I wonder whether there was input from higher education, because it was being coordinated by Public Service Commission. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I really appreciate that the young scholars we have been recognized. Now, my main concern is differentiating between brain rot. You know, there's something that is called brain rot, where you over-engage technology, and it is gradually limits our capacity of thinking or using our intellect. Where do we draw the line? Because I understand the older generation could be looking at it in that perspective of brain rot. But at the same time, this is a point where we are at, and we cannot assume that we are not already here in the age of AI. So do we have policies that will ensure the future? We don't have incidences of brain rot. We do the research, we use the technology, but we still don't get the brain rot. Another thing, the sharing of opportunities. I'll be honest, as a young person, some of these opportunities get to us. But like we have said, there is social problems. I'll look at the opportunity, niangalie the number of professors wenye wamepitiwa na hiyo opportunity ndio nipate. Then I will assume or I disqualify myself from the perspective, yeah. For us as young people, tuko huko nyuma ya line, unaona that assumption. So how are we going to deal with it as a social problem to ensure that there is confidence in the younger scholars to embrace some of these opportunities? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Prof. Here. Then there's a hand behind.
This is Joseph Maitari from Karakatini University. My contribution is that you have talked about academic papers, published papers in credible journals. I think that is a good criteria because, for example, I've just come here to earn points, attendance of conference. See? I think that is the evidence. So for a person who is supposed to be relevant, then the evidence has to be supported with the publications. I think that's okay. Like I've just become a professor, not just because of other things, not because of my body, but because of what I have written, what I've contributed to the university. I'm quite relevant there. Another thing you have talked about is about the yellow notes. I've been an external examiner to several universities, but one has come out very clearly to me that I taught a student at Kenyatta University, and then when the scripts came with the course outline, lucky enough, that course outline is the one that I had prepared when I was teaching the students. So this is, you see, recycling. I think people do not have time to do research. We need to conduct research as we teach. Thank you so much. And another thing that I've just forgotten, another lecturer came for an interview, and then he was asked by the panel that, do you use AI? Said that he discourages the use of that, and he doesn't use. That is the point when he failed the interview. Because this is something that we must use. It is there. Yes. And when you talk about the Gen Z, when they speak to the elders, they still put up the caps and talk to us. I think, thank you.
Thank you. At the back there.
Thank you for the insightful thoughts. My name is Joyce Boke from Tomboya University. I want to ask a question that lies in the borders of acceptance of AI or not. One of the core competencies, actually two, for CBC are creativity and imagination, and critical thinking and problem solving. So if we want to embrace AI because it makes work easier, what is going to happen to creativity, imagination, problem solving? When they get to university, how will we write books? How will we write literature? Are we going to have replication of just a click of a button? I get a book, another person clicks a button, the same book? Because I have had a problem where I asked my students to write a story about their first experience at university. Actually, I expected them to tell us what happened on day one. This is what they did. They went to AI and said, write for me a story about my first day at university. So I got responses like, when I got to Minnesota, I got lost, and you know we are in Homer Bay. Yes, even as we embrace AI, what are the limits? Thank you.
Thank you. I think we'll give the opportunity for response. Is it very burning? Okay, we can take one last one.
Evelyn Okwani from Kisii University. I'm sorry to come last. It is something that has just tickled me, and I felt Dr. should address it concerning issues of indigenous knowledge and indigenous languages. You posed a question if there is any university that is offering such a course. At Kisii University, we have units on indigenous languages. Actually, we are teaching African languages. We are also having a unit teaching indigenous languages generally. However, the challenge comes here. We don't have the materials. The parents are not actually willing to enroll their children in school to pursue the local languages. Even most of us who are here, if you know a school that is instructing in mother tongue, we do not want to take our kids there. But according to CBE, there is a clause mentioning that we need to acquire indigenous languages, but how can we implement that if we are not willing ourselves? And what is the ministry doing in relation to that? Recently, we had a conference at Kisii University where we were trying to talk about using indigenous knowledge on how we can use it in preservation, conservation, environmental, climate resilience, and etc. And actually, when we look at these, we realize that indigenous knowledge is very, very critical to our survival somehow. If we talk about even local medicine, women as knowledge bearers in such fields, it is very critical. But what policies there to protect and also ensure we have the materials, we are sensitizing the people throughout Kenya to accept what has been provided by CBE.
Thank you. Thank you. We give the chance for responses.
Yes, thank you very much for these questions. Some of them I can respond to, some I may not be able to. So the first question on Fasihi, that is, I have no idea, because that is in basic education. But again, I think it's a question of the teachers who are in each of these schools can push that. Because I actually didn't know that, because I learned Swahili together with Fasihi, so I didn't know that they've actually been separated. So again, that's a question of the implementers in each of the schools. You can push for this, and again now that can be taken up. Now, AI. A lot of questions have come up on the issue of AI and policies. The Commission for University Education has been working on that. They held a conference sometime last year, and they were partnering with the German Academic Exchange Program, DAD, and they were working on seeing how we can develop a policy on AI together with ensuring that even as we develop the CBET framework that we are working on, AI will touch on that. But one of the things I want to emphasize is that we are the drivers, because we are the source of knowledge. If we come up with amazing ideas within our institutions to ensure that we inculcate ethics even as we use AI, Many times, I like the way you like pushing things to the ministry as if we are the experts only. You know, we drive what you tell us because you are the experts. Mnasikia vile nasema? Isn't it? We drive what you inform us. We are the oversight authority to make sure that things are working as you have informed us you want them to work. Isn't it? So when it comes to policies, when it comes to driving, you create an environment where you develop ethics. I can assure you, we as a State Department will come in and adopt and share this creativity and this capacity with other universities, together with the Commission for University Education. The Commission for University Education is in charge of ensuring quality is upheld in all our degree programs and in our universities. And so through Q, we can comfortably develop a policy on AI, and I know they are working on that. But remember, if you leave us to develop a policy on AI, then we must ensure we have stakeholders' engagement and stakeholders' involvement. And you are the stakeholders. You'll come in, you'll give us ideas, you'll help us, you'll assist us, so that we make sure we develop a policy that is inclusive and that is upholding ethics, and will ensure that we stop being uncomfortable, because I'm reading the room and there's a lot of discomfort on on matters AI, and I find it very interesting. But I want to imagine this is the same thing that what is his name, Bill Gates faced when he developed Windows, and together with Steve Jobs when they developed the programs for computers. I think we are there now, and so I can read that there's a lot of fear as far as AI is concerned, and I can read that indeed there is a lot of, people are not really understanding. But personally, I take AI as a technology, as any other. Simply a technology. And that technology, we can find a way, beautiful words that were used, to moderate. Moderate, that is it. Not stop, not control, moderate, and ensure that it is used efficiently. Again, issues of promotion. You asked about the harmonized criteria that was developed in the Public Service Commission. Indeed, you know that cannot be done without Q, that cannot be done without State Department for Higher Education, that cannot be done without stakeholder engagement. Once again, that is an ongoing process, but I think universities, I know, universities did submit their comments, isn't it? And the criteria was developed, isn't it? And so it is an ongoing process, and I think that's a very, very good initiative, because now, personally, I went through the previous criteria, and I felt it was quite a bit stringent in certain areas as far as ensuring promotion is concerned. So it is still ongoing, and we'll ensure that it goes through and is adopted. Now, the issue of brain rot and overuse of technologies, that has been raised over and over again. But I actually thought, and the question that was asked about overuse of AI, such that students simply submit a query and that's it. But I thought we need to think about it on the flip side. If today I come up with an innovation, I'm in Migori, and I feel hakuna mtu amewahi fanya hii kitu tena. If I remain with that innovation and develop it here without looking to see either on the internet or through AI whether someone else has come up with the same technology, am I not enhancing redundancy? If I write a book from my corner in Migori, and I say this book, nobody has ever written about this before, it is the most unique, and then I publish it very excited, and then 2 years later I come across somebody who wrote along the same lines, Am I not promoting redundancy? When you come up with an idea, AI is the best place to make you know how unique your idea is. If it is no longer unique, why pursue it? Or it may be unique, but even when it may be unique in the sense that the other people who may have worked on the same thing failed to address just one gap, which now you can take up. Am I making a point? I thought this same AI is addressing that same issue of overcoming redundancy. We tend to imagine that our ideas are the best. We tend to imagine that what we are doing is the best, not knowing that there's someone else who has already done this. And the only way you can know that is by going into AI and finding out what have others done. I thought that's the whole essence of literature review. And through that literature review, then we identify gaps. Yes, the global world has come up with these researches. They have researched what you want to work on up to this point. But this gap still prevails. What an amazing thing. Then you can be able to identify that gap and move with it and research on it. So the issue of brain rot cannot in any way arise, because by coming up with that idea, you start thinking through AI of how you can make it even better, how you can upgrade whatever is already in existence, having gone through a sweep of what is happening globally. By the time you come up with your idea, honestly, you will not be rotting, because so much has been done, and you'll want to be as unique and creative as possible. There is absolutely no way you can rot. People who want to use AI lazily, those are the people who will rot. But if you know what you're doing, you don't just lazily throw a sentence online and they come up with information and you submit because you're submitting for the sake of it. There'll always be unique people. Out of the people that you schooled with, from the day you joined nursery school, I'm talking to the older generation, how many have PhDs? You think a PhD, you think a PhD inapatikana ni mtu yeyote tu? Haipatikani ni mtu mwenye anaenanga internet anarusha tu document na inatoa information na anakaa. Huyo ni mtu atafanya PhD kweli? PhDs are done by unique people who have unique capacities to generate unique knowledges. Researchers are unique people. They are set apart in society. They are special people. They are not like anybody else. I want you to count again. Out of the people you joined nursery school with, personally, I think we are only two. Nikihesabu from the day I joined nursery school to date, people who have PhDs. Am I making a point? So when you think you cannot run with the majority, you'll always be the special one. When you are a researcher, when you are a PhD holder, you'll always be the special one, no matter what. And so let's maintain our specialness by upholding ethics and ensuring we carry out research and use technologies for the right reasons. Wachana na hao wanashikwa na brain rot. I still want to continue with your point where you talked about disqualifying yourself. Sasa mimi nitakusaidia namna gani? You know, when I applied for this position, I had been a director of research for about 5 years. This position came up in 2022 online. It was posted by the Public Service Commission. Position for Secretary Higher Education. What did they require? The candidate must have served as a director of research for not less than 4 years. I had served for 5 years. The candidate, actually it was not less than 3 years. The candidate must have taken a management course for not less than a week. Me, in my madness, I went to Kenya School of Government, I paid for myself, and I did the Strategic Leadership and Development Program. How many people have done it here? I'm making a point. Now, I did it, I had it. No, you people think tunapatanga hizi kazi ati politically. Na nani anatujua? Mimi nilitoka Seku. Nani alikuwa ananijua Seku? I had done strategic leadership and management program. And I don't know what those were the two main criteria that they were looking for this job. Innocently applied for the job. 2023 hakuna mtu ananiongelesha. 2024 mimi nikajua job ilipeanwa na mtu akaanza. One day I went to Ethiopia. Came back to Kenya on a Saturday. On Monday I got a call from the Public Service Commission. Dr. Hunja, we have been looking for you. What did they say? We have been looking for you. Where have you been? I said, why? I said, you applied for a job and we are calling you for an interview. Which job? I can't even remember. I started looking, wondering, nasa hii ni kazi gani niliapply? I forgot. So eventually I found the job. I called them. Is this the job you're calling me for? Yes. I said, okay, I know the Public Service Commission. We usually go kuzindikisha watu. Wacha niende, nisikie vile uonja. Hiyo interview ya Public Service Commission. I went, I carried my credentials, made sure that I had arranged my papers very well. I went for the interview. I was interviewed. I can't tell you whether it was good, but it is an interview. You have all experienced interviews. You can never say I did well. I was very shocked when I saw a professor on TV saying I was the best in the interview. How do you know? And you know that you are the best in the interview. When you do an interview, you never know. You just know I did it. Okay? I don't know whether I was the best or not. So 1 week later, I was called to go and pick my letter from from the State Department for Higher Education by the Human Resource. 2 things I had. Director of Research, SLDP. I have asked you here, how many of you have done SLDP? No, nilijilipia. Why? I'm crazy. I'm a crazy one. Wacha tu. And here I am, Secretary Higher Education, not helped by anybody. Young man. Do you know why nobody here has done all those things? And do you know why nobody applied for that job? They disqualified themselves even before. Me, I applied. And here I am. Even if mtu grow, you disqualify yourself, there's nothing we can do about it. You say, hizo kazi. Watu hata huwa washachaguliwa kitambo. Mimi hata sijui mtu anywhere. Here I am. I'm just a girl from Ukambani. And here I am holding a position in the government. So kindly deal. Deal with your own self-disqualification. That is the only way to deal with this issue. Accept that you are capable. Okay, publishing or perishing. Have I said you don't publish? Did I say you don't publish? What did I say? I said also augment, supplement. Make sure that even what you are publishing can also be tangible. Publishing is important, but let me ask you, how many people actually have access? If you ask a resident here of this area, do they know the paper you published? Are they aware?
Some of them, yes.
Here, they're in the internet. You expect a local person mwenye anachunga ng'ombe hapa ajue, aende internet na ajue pepa yako. That is the point. That is the point. When we publish for each other. That is why it's called peer reviewed. We are publishing for our peers. But that knowledge never extends to the right people. And that is the point. Yes, show your peers how good you are. Get the promotion, but at least let us work to ensure that that knowledge can trickle down, even to the local mwananchi, so they know, yes, this Rongo University is developing knowledge, and that knowledge is changing our life. One of our core mandates is community extension, community services. What are we doing about that? One of the major uses of AI, even beyond the use of AI for literature review, is assessment. we are constantly asking us to come up with amazing ways to assess our students so that we stop using the age-old examination. I went to Masinde Muliro. They were going crazy because they have thousands of students. Those thousands of students are sitting in an exam room and they have to be supervised because they have phones. And they keep looking at their phones so they can cheat. And I thought, can't we come up with a different way of assessing students so that they, some of them were sitting in corridors in a big hall, doing exams, cheating with each other, talking to each other, of course. Who is the problem there? The university. We must come up with novel ways of assessing our students, more so with CBE. We have no choice but to use AI to assess our students. Find technologies so that we stop assessing the age-old way. One time I had a class, very big class. I was teaching B.Ed Science Immunology. Oh no, it was not a course on immunology. It was a developmental biology. And they used to cheat. And so they one day came for a cat. And I tried, and the cat, I said, in your own experience, how has developmental biology impacted you? They all picked the paper and started laughing because I told them, now cheat. Because I'm looking for your personal experience in the topics I've taught you in developmental biology. I want you to tell me what has impacted you in that course. The beauty was, part of it was philosophical. They laughed. They laughed for 5 minutes before even doing the exam. Then they looked at me. They said, umetuweza leo. But you know, the thing is, you have to be creative, because I realized if I don't do this, I will simply develop a cat, and they will copy, and everybody will get 25 out of 25. Will I have solved the problem? No. Those are some of the things we need to do to be as creative as possible. Final question. Your beautiful question on indigenous language. That's an amazing, amazing question. We have an attitude, first of all, as parents, towards embracing indigenous languages. We have a lot of issues, but one of the things I've seen, I wanted to give you a case study, which I had not mentioned, of Seku, where I was. Do you believe that Seku introduced a short course on Ma language, Masai? I don't know why they developed a course on Masai instead of developing a course on Kamba language, considering it's in Ukambani, but they developed a short course on Ma language, and that course they even used to attract students from abroad to come and study it. Secondly, it's about being as creative as possible. Remember, this AI we are talking about, there's one thing we never think about, and that is, we have AI that is full of information submitted by people abroad, not people from the African region. And so when we do our literature review, our citations usually focus on what has happened abroad in indigenous language into the AI, such that when I search, I can come up with information that is in Ma language, in Kisi language, in Swahili, in whatever language. It will be unique, it will speak to a particular people, and it will make a difference. When you ask me the question, what is the government doing? Honestly, it is just a question of honesty, of interest. Interest even within our local schools. By the way, you will be surprised by the number of ECDE centers in this country that are still teaching in indigenous languages. True or false? Very many. Actually, there are more than the ECDE centers that teach in English or Swahili. That is where we start. At the ECDEs that are offering. Personally, I started my language I started my ECDE or nursery learning in the local language. You are told, hii ni kikombe, you're told what it is in your indigenous language. And that child, when it comes to mastery of knowledge and language, is usually one of the best in the country. You are nodding your head. True. when people tell us that we think in our local language and speak in English, perfect. That's how it should be. Nobody should put you down for speaking mother tongue in English. Nobody. You have amazing abilities. Once you start your foundational language as your indigenous language. CBE is not coming in to tell you to do indigenous languages because it is going to grow you. It is nurturing you because creativity and capacity for someone who starts their foundational learning using indigenous language, embracing the other languages is usually very easy. We used to study abroad. They ask us, how many languages can you speak? We tell them 4, 5. They wonder. They only know how to speak English. And mwenye amejaribu sana anaongea English na Spanish ama English na French. Mwenye amejaribu sana. We can speak 4, 5 languages comfortably. Even our Swahili is full of all the dialects and languages in Kenya. We can speak it. Why? Because we started. Our foundational level started at ECDE. So let us focus on that. That ECDE can grow all the way to the end in the growth of indigenous languages. I hope I have answered as many questions as possible. I amalgamated all the AI questions together because it is a topic we can never finish here. But my point, let us think of how we can embrace it and how we can leverage on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think this has been the most exciting session. You'll agree with me. And if you agree with me, we'll give a standing ovation and give a 5-factorial clap. And the conclusion of the matter. A year ago, I was in California. And I had a ride in an AI-driven taxi. You only call it and tell it where you're going. There's no driver. It's only you in the vehicle. And it takes you up to your place. Think about it. I trusted it. But an old woman who was given a taste of it by her daughter got into the vehicle. And when the vehicle started moving, she was screaming throughout and cussing up to the end. And it told her, you have reached your destination. And she could see her daughter's house. AI is with us. Your next colleague might be a robot. It's already here in Nairobi. Robots are serving us in restaurants. It's already there. So let us learn how to adopt, how to use them for our benefits. 5-factorial claps. We start with 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate for such an exciting presentation from our keynote speaker. You just reminded me during my master's, my first supervisor told me I'm writing using my language. And we used 1 hour to write 1 page. And he wrote, and I think that one changed me a bit. Thank you so much. We appreciate for your patience up to this time. We want to go into other very important events that are awaiting us. And this was the most important one. And all of you were glued, your ears were open because of what was getting into your mind. I think this was transformative keynote speech. At this time, I want to recognize our partners from Airtel. Our partners from Airtel are here with us. Yesterday there was 1 representative. Today They are 3 of them. And they have some news. We say they are our sponsors. They have sponsored us. And I would like them to come and tell us what they have sponsored us with. Welcome, Irene and your team.
Our guest speaker, the VC, the delegates, and our amazing students. My name is Irene Kisuko. I am here on behalf of Airtel Kenya. I am specifically from the Department of Enterprise. Allow me to pass my regards from my superiors, our Enterprise Kenya Director, Caroline Deritu, and our Regional Enterprise Manager, Madam Rongo. She will be joining us tomorrow. I am here with my colleagues. I would like them to introduce themselves before we proceed.
Is it still morning? Yeah, good morning. Yes, my name is Mariana Rongo. I'm the channel account manager, Western and Nyanza. Briefly, my team is mostly partners. These are people who have decided that they are going to partner with Airtel networks to making sure that they do business. Most of Kenyans maybe don't understand. It's corporate. We offer solutions to corporate SMEs as far as connectivity is concerned. So thank you so much, Dr. Ari. Thank you so much.
Okay. Also, some of us, we interacted with them out here. We still have the same setup. So I cover Kisii and South Nyanza also. So it's a pleasure. I think this is our second or third time here. Thank you. Thank you all.
Like the one that I am putting, had some logistic conference. As they'd like to talk about what we have here on site as Airtel Kenya. We have activation of 5G routers, as Masharia has said. So you're in a position to walk into our tent and walk out with a 5G router that you can use in your office, in a small enterprise. Zile mnasikianga tukisema lines za Airtel ni free. You can also walk away with that. We also have activation of postpaid lines. You know about postpaid lines, where you get a package that you can use for 1 month. Okay, so we want to appreciate Rongo University for giving us an opportunity to participate. If you just get 60 pieces. I hope that was genuine. T-shirts to our key speakers.
They'll be handing over T-shirt to our guest speaker and our DVC in charge of academic and student affairs. Yes, please. Just let them settle. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Where that Airtel can offer connectivity to government ministries. We also offer connectivity solutions to institutions, universities, and we are looking forward to a long-term partnership with Rongo University on matters connectivity. You can all agree with me that we cannot have I was seeing some to talk to the IT department. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Airtel. At this particular moment, I would like us to appreciate our keynote speaker, by giving the package for the conference. Dr. Maren, kindly. That's the conference package. Thank you. We'll also, thank you, Dr. Carol. We'll also like to give our Airtel. Yes, that's to our Airtel. The other representative for Airtel will still give you also your package later. Because of time, we'll give you later. Thank you so much
for blessing us this morning, and also our DVC ASA for finding time to be with us. We want to move to the next session. From here, we will go for service has changed, so we will panels to make sure that we just take about 20 minutes to take the tea, and then we come back for the sessions. I want to believe that we are all aware of the, and room C is adjacent room D, right? Is adjacent room B on the second plate room as fast as you can immediately after tea. So we will be standing to have, we'll just say the grace, and then we proceed. I want to request the delegates that once we are going out, please let's move with speed. We have the photo, and then our chief guest, there will be a brief interview that we'll be holding there, headed by the media team and the media houses, and then the rest of us will proceed for tea. We are proceeding for tea in the multipurpose hall. We'll have people guiding you. And may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen. Thank you. Please, let's proceed.